Imagine being threatened with a defamation lawsuit just for questioning a congressman's finances. Well, that's exactly what happened to Sean Ryan, famous podcaster and former U.S. Navy SEAL. See, Sean was doing what most Americans do and questioned Representative Dan Crenshaw's finances on how he can do things like afford a private birthday bash with Steve Aoki, which probably cost a lot of money on a simple salary of $175,000. And look, maybe Dan Crenshaw is independently wealthy, but you are allowed to ask those questions of elected officials. Well, Dan didn't like that, and he sent this direct message to Sean Ryan back in September, basically saying, look, I heard you have some beef with me, and my boys at 6, very important language, brought this to my attention, and look, why don't you come face the facts kind of a thing. And remember, Crenshaw himself is a former Navy SEAL. And last year, when he was asked in an interview if he would ever meet Tucker Carlson, Crenshaw literally said that he would kill him. And he didn't look like he was joking around. So Sean Ryan criticized Crenshaw on his podcast, and he's allowed to do that. And he said this, and this is what is the basis of the defamation threat. He said this, quote, Crenshaw sent me a message that says, my boys over at 6 are really upset with me that I brought that up, and they're going to ... they might come beat me up. I don't know why a congressman would be threatening me with SEAL Team 6. And apparently that was enough to upset Crenshaw enough to send a demand letter for defamation against Sean Ryan saying, hey, you just accused a US congressman of assault, which is a crime, and it's defamation per se, which is true. Assault is a crime and it would be defamation per se, except Sean Ryan has a reasonable basis for making that statement. It is his opinion, and he's criticizing a US congressman, which is protected speech under the First Amendment. And Sean Ryan's lawyer's clapback is absolutely a work of art. And they basically wrote back and said this. They said, Congressman Crenshaw did send a message. He did reference my boys at 6. He absolutely was criticizing Sean Ryan's criticism of him. And the message was confrontational in tone, and any reasonable person who gets a DM like that where the team SEAL 6 is being referenced is going to be intimidated. And this is absolutely protected speech, and basically said, bring it on. And if you sue, we're going to file an anti-SLAPP motion against you, and we're going to win. And I absolutely agree with Sean Ryan and his lawyers on this. Excellent job of breaking it down. Crenshaw, stop being a baby. When you do stuff like this and you're rambunctious talking about parties and talking about your finances, people are going to question you. And right now, Americans are asking questions about how their elected officials can engage in things like insider trading and how they can afford such lavish lifestyles. So I'm with Sean Ryan on this.